this video, we are going to discuss what are the best UX practices which are actually required for you to be a better designer. So without further delay, let's drop the intro. Before starting this video, if you guys are new here, my name is Shamdura Das and I am a professional graphic designer, video editor and UI UX designer. In this channel, we talk about designing tips, tricks and tutorials. So if you are into it, then consider subscribing to my channel. Also, I have given timestamps in the description, so feel free to hop around the entire timeline. Step number 1. Understand the user. Conduct user research to understand the people who are using your product. Try to understand their needs, developmental goals and their functionality, what they are thinking when they are downloading your application. First of all, you have to understand the market that you are catering to. You can't make an old man's hearing aid to be a viable reference while making a kid's application. Understand your audience thoroughly, how they feel, what they like, what are their psychological traits, and also under which scenarios and conditions are they gonna use your product. For example, you being the creator of Uber app won't be able to make it super aesthetic with nice animations and all. You have to understand that people using your app might be standing outdoors waiting for a taxi to arrive quickly in order to reach their home conveniently. In those cases, the user might be in an angry mood because of the outdoor inconveniences like the heat, traffic, etc. If your app is too complex, they will just want to use Ola instead. So it's not wise enough to make a super aesthetic app for Uber, a simple application where customers can just book their taxi with a click of a button, and a map view integration so that they can track their taxi is all that we need. Whereas it's not wise enough to make this kind of simple app if you're actually trying to make an application for Starbucks to order coffee from home. They most probably are going to use complex features like Starbucks wallet, promo codes, cashbacks, scratch cards, everything else. Okay, so this topic can go on forever, so in order to shorten down the length of this video, I will just skip this topic. But I guess you actually got my point. Okay, so tip number 2, keep it simple. No matter who is using the app, nobody, literally nobody will want to use your application if it's difficult to navigate and if its user interface is actually quite a lot to take in for a human brain. Use a clean background with limited number of unnecessary elements in order to attract customers. Also, remember to put the minimum touch point of 22 by 22 pixels if you are making for Android, and if you are making for iOS, it's 24 by 24 pixels. Make the buttons large with bold text and prominent colors so that it's easy for people with fat fingers to find your app more user-friendly. Use a consistent, easy to understand verbiage and a consistent design system so that the users doesn't get confused. Make sure that hyperlinks are colored in blue and the bottom navigation bar have all the required tabs, which comes in handy for the users. And also, never try to recreate internationally accepted icons and design system. It's not wise decision to make a toggle from this to this. This internationally accepted design system should be kept as it is and should not be touched. Remember, familiarity is a key heuristic in UX design. So you have to understand that people who are using your application are already familiar with some kind of design systems. Tip number 3, prioritize content. In order to make it easy for the customers to use your application, you need to use a conversational tone with logical sense as well. Make sure to display proper textual hierarchy. You have to understand that you can use font weights creatively in order to create hierarchy. You can use super headings in bold, headings in semi-bold, subheadings in regular and body text in light format. You can also take help of colors in order to display hierarchy. You can keep the most important words in black, whereas you can keep the lesser important words in grey. Create content blocks by separating them using straight line dividers and use shadows tactfully in order to contemplate one user's mind towards that particular focal point. Always remember the thumb rule. As you are making a text smaller in size, you have to make it more legible by making it bold or by making it deep. Tip number 4, be consistent. Remember about a consistent design system I talked about? This step is exactly in order to make sure that happens. As I told you before as well, keep a consistent design system. Keep the button color same, keep the textual hierarchy same, keep the typography as same and also use color matched icons and consistent pictures. The basic motto is users should not feel as if different pages of the application are taken from different apps out there in the market and compiled together, unlike some government websites. Your design should feel cohesive and well put together. For example, if you use a list view on the first page of the application and after clicking on the View Full List button, you are redirected to a page where all the informations are sorted in cards, it will feel weird, isn't it? So it's better to be consistent and use a single design system throughout the entire application. As a matter of fact, you will be able to find various pre-built landing pages, design systems and UI kits on Figma community itself. Don't copy from them, but you can actually learn a lot about design system from these free Figma community files. Tip number 5. Provide feedback, and it is a very important heuristic in UX design. It's important for users to understand what's going on inside the application and what to expect next. Have you ever noted that while filling out a simple email input field in a simple form, as long as you don't type a valid email with an @ symbol, it will continuously give you an error message to type a valid email? And also, while scrolling down a simple list, when you are scrolling pretty fast, as soon as the list ends, the list bounces back in order to denote you that the list is actually ended and it just didn't stop abruptly. Also nowadays, whenever you click a toggle in your iPhone or even few Android phones, you will feel a very sludgy haptic feedback or vibration in layman's term. Thus, it's quite evident that your users should know what's happening inside the application and what to expect. In fact, feedbacks are not only limited to error messages, but you can also incorporate sounds, haptics, alerts, push notifications, etc. That's why always try to make such a creative move so that people can understand what is happening inside your application and the application actually gives users its feedback of what to expect next. Tip number 6. Text and iterate over and over again. This is such a simple term which most of the people don't understand. Practice makes a man perfect, and that's why you should never stop working on an application completely. You should keep on working on it and improving it with each and every update. Regularly test your apps with real users and incorporate the changes based on their feedback. I have told a million times before, an app is never completely built. Always try to continuously work on it and improve it on the further updates. That's why whenever you wake up in the morning, you will see a ton of app updates in the Play Store and App Store, so that the phone actually gives you a prompt to update them and keep them up to date. That is so because all these software companies are continuously taking the users' feedback secretively or even outspokenly and making changes to their algorithms, UX decisions and design systems and whatnot. Conduct regular usability testing and release alpha and beta versions inside the company in order to make your app even better. Also, most importantly, create email newsletters to tell people what are the features that are going to arrive in the further updates so that your users always try to keep their app up to date. Remember how Adobe in their application tells users what's new in this update and what's going to come in the further updates? You can do that same thing. Tip number 7. Consider accessibility. Make sure that your app is accessible to as many as users as possible. As you think of normal people with 2 eyes, 2 hands and 2 legs, you should also think of people who are actually disabled in some way or the other. Suppose a person due to some unlucky incident got his one arm injured, or a person with some tragic accident actually became completely paralyzed. Think about some way or the other so that this person can also actually use your application in the same way as people with probably everything normal. They shouldn't feel like, oh my god, my hand is non-functional, so I won't be able to use these apps again. Some of the common examples are a paralyzed person may incorporate a voice assistance mode in order to help them navigate through the application. Or a person with limited vision use some kind of bold text and rich contrast mode so that they can find the application easy to understand. The opportunities are endless. Just make sure to be a little bit creative and think about some way so that these unlucky people can also use your application like normal people. Tip number 8. Be mobile friendly. With more and more people accessing the internet, they are using it in their mobile phones. Probably the application and website portals that people are actually building are being used in mobile more than desktops. Most probably you have come across the term adaptive designs and responsive designs. Make sure to design the mobile first version of the application, but also consider if there is any use case so that the application or the website portal can be built for a web version as well. Most probably the answer will be yes, unless you're trying to make Uber for desktop. Once you design a complete app with all its functionality and the assets are well put together in the mobile version, it's very easy for people to scale them to a larger canvas, supposedly desktop or an iPad screen. But the vice versa is very difficult, almost impossible to make it. That is why most designers use the mobile first approach of UX design. Also, there is a difference between adaptive and responsive designs. Responsive designs are the ones which are functionality wise exactly same, but only the layouting is different due to a larger canvas. But on the other hand, adaptive designs are the ones which are functionality wise little bit different, and also the layouting is quite different due to a different canvas size. Remember how you can give a video DP on LinkedIn web portal but the functionality is yet not available in the mobile app? That's an adaptive design trick. Tip number 9. Use storytelling techniques to create an emotional engagement with your users and also make their experience more memorable. This is a step where I also suck at while designing mobile applications. Since we all are techies sitting in front of the computer for hours, we often miss that humanistic approach while designing an application. We often make them too much simplistic, minimalistic and hospitality, I would say. Just give a certain amount of humanistic touch to the application that you are designing and make sure not to overdo it. This can be commonly achieved by incorporating small amount of animations in your application. For example, after you place an order in the Myntra app, you will be able to see a very subtle animation of that piece of garment moving into a cart. They actually do this animation deliberately in order to give you a memorable feeling that okay, I have shopped from an offline store and I have actually put the garment in my clothing bag. Also, whenever we use Google Pay and we receive any Google Pay coupon, we receive it in the form of scratch cards. Google could show us that you have received this offer just simply, but they decided to make it in the form of scratch cards to make the temptation of users to actually scratch the card and reveal the coupon, like what it used to happen in the earlier days. Tip number 10. Focus on user's journey. First, try to understand the steps the users take in order to complete a task, and then try to make the experience as smooth and seamless as possible. Try to build realistic sitemaps before designing the overall application. To make realistic sitemaps in tree views, you can actually use apps like Figma and Miro to visually represent your sitemaps and also get it approved from your senior designers or project managers. How weird will it feel if you're shopping in an app and it asks for your address after the order is placed? It's weird, isn't it? To eliminate these kinds of confusions and to make realistic sitemaps in order to reduce the thinking time while designing an application on Figma, we make user flows or what we call as user journey maps. So guys, there you have it. These are the 10 best UX practices which you can also perform in order to be a better designer every day. So that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Till then, stay creative and I hope to see you in my next video.